I will say, though, just literally, and I already said this, but seeing him there, that is what I saw. Like,
right.
Like what we are looking like, obviously not a guy in a baggy suit, but like where he is at right now, that is what I like. That would be the same.
Yeah, so things got pretty quiet at the end of Bigfoot Project, but then within the last year, odd things started happening on and off.
Ohio is one of those places that has become synonymous with Bigfoot activity east of the Rocky Mountains, particularly in the eastern part of the state. It might have something to do with this area being part of the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains in neighboring West Virginia and Pennsylvania. It could also be the ample wooded areas interspersed with rural farmland and human habitation. Whatever the reason might be, Ohio has been host to quite a few encounters over the years, even at times decades ago when many thought the Bigfoot phenomenon was limited to the Pacific Northwest. One story in particular that remains intriguing to this day is that of the Minerva Monster in Minerva, Ohio from the 1970s. This story became the focus of the first documentary ever made by Small Town Monsters in 2015. Fast forward to 2021, and one of the earliest ever Beyond the Trail videos we made also took place in Minerva, focusing on a more contemporary case. At that time, STM crew member Heather Moser had recently moved to a rural property in Minerva and began experiencing some interesting things and hearing of local encounters. During that filming, we met with locals, looked at supposed evidence, and even conducted a sighting recreation from an encounter that took place right down the road.
It was right there, and when it took off, it went that way, and I swear it only looked like it took like 6 leaps until it was in that corner of the woods.
Wow. Can you tell me how fast, or how much faster or slower than me it went? So I'm going to start the whole sequence. I'm actually going to put my phone in my pocket, so you can just...
While you're running very fast, it didn't appear to be fast so much as it had just a really long gait.
Yeah, okay.
That's the best way I can describe it.
During some of the night investigations we conducted in the area, we recorded some potentially interesting overnight audio. After this, in the fall of 2021, Seth and Heather began a series called the Bigfoot Project, which was an attempt to document the strange occurrences around the area over a sustained period of time. This project went on for about 9 to 10 months, until logging and gas line drilling disrupted much of the natural habitat found there. Most dramatically of all the occurrences that took place during this project was when Seth had what he believed was a sighting of a strange, upright, hairy creature darting between a gas line clearing in the forest.
Stop! Stop!
What?
What did he think he saw? Did you get it on camera?
I don't remember.
You don't remember. What'd you see?
I saw a huge black object run across that pipeline at full burst right as we came through there. I don't know how to fast forward on this thing. You can't even hear it. There's nothing out there. If it was a deer, you would hear it moving away. So either I saw things, or I saw a Bigfoot.
Oh, you're still recording this, right?
Did you hear that?
I've been hearing some thumps. You know that when Aleks was here before, and then even just the other night, you were hearing more than one thing, you know? And I've watched plenty of deer cross. The first one always shoots across, and then the others are lagging behind. You might have interrupted something, and now there's some over there and some over there, and
That's a possibility.
maybe that's why they're still lingering. They're kind of like trying to figure out where to cross it.
Since then, Seth has pondered a lot about the sighting itself, and if he really did see what he thought he did, or if it was just his imagination. Up until this point, we have never attempted a recreation of Seth's encounter, so that is exactly what we chose to do this past fall. While driving the nearly 11-hour trip from New Hampshire to Ohio, once I crossed into Pennsylvania from upstate New York, I noticed how close I was to Lake Erie and decided to make a quick stop. At the time, I had no idea that there was a long history of Sasquatch sightings there along the Pennsylvania-Ohio border, and when I checked out the Bigfoot Mapping Project app, I was quite surprised to see there were stories taking place on both sides of the border going back decades. So I'm out here in the middle of the woods in the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania. I'm actually on the Ohio border and right next to Lake Erie. And apparently this area has a history of Bigfoot sightings, which kind of came as a shock to me. I'm driving through here from Pennsylvania, heading into points south in Ohio, going to Minerva and other areas, Kentucky further south. And I wanted to get a view of Lake Erie. I just passed Erie, Pennsylvania. It's that little strip of Pennsylvania that's right between New York State and Ohio, just a small section that's along Lake Erie. So I said, hey, let me come and check out the lake. And then jokingly, I decided to open up the Bigfoot Mapping Project thinking, oh, wouldn't it be funny if there were Bigfoot reports here? I doubt it. Apologize for the wind. The lake is right there. And lo and behold, this entire area is peppered with sightings, not only along the lake, but heading further south into Ashtabula County, Ohio, which I guess, from what I understand, has been a hotspot for a while. The night siege stuff supposedly happened there in the 60s or the 70s. And I guess Ashtabula County is well known for sightings. And then heading into the part of Pennsylvania that this is along the border is just nothing but rural, kind of woodsy areas. And then you head obviously towards the Allegheny National Forest heading further east. But just within, I would say within a few miles of where I am looking at the Bigfoot Mapping Project right now, and I'm going to read a few of these reports. So there's one from 2020 that was self-reported to the Bigfoot Mapping Project that's, within a mile of where I'm standing. Took a long route into a hunting spot. Due to high water running in a creek, got within 50 yards of my stand, heard a really loud bark, scream, roar with infrasound. It made this sound 10 times over a 5-minute period, was not able to see anything. The sound came from just over the edge that dropped into a creek, approximately 75 yards in front of me. Never heard it move or any other noise. The sound froze me in my tracks, felt it rattle in my chest, startled me so much that I could not get my phone out to try and record. The year was a bummer crop of red and white acorns, other abundant types of mast. Okay, so that's one that's, in the general area. Now, it's Class B, but it's got this supposed, the feeling of it rattling your chest. And just basically almost on the edge of the lake, there's a really interesting Class A report on the BFRO from 1998 at a campsite. I'll read what was observed here. Observed. Working as a volunteer at the camp, I was with several campers at a site. 2 of the campers began walking down a path away from the campsite, and I was forced to go after them. After approximately 60 yards from the campsite, the path bended from the campsite, giving us minimal light from the campfire. One of the campers ducked behind a tree, and the other crouched in the path about 5 feet in front of me. I told the one behind the tree to come over to me, which he did. I was about to tell the second camper to get up and come over to me when the creature, in quotations, strolled across the path. It was approximately 7.5 feet tall and slim. It was about 10 feet away from the camper and me. Losing sight of the creature due to the dark in the trees, I turned to the camper beside me and asked, "Did you see that?" When I was asking the camper, the second camper on the ground said, "There it is again." I personally did not see it the second time. The camper besides me said he didn't see anything, and I wrote the incident off as another staffer strolling the camp. The next day I did further investigating, looking for footprints, etc., to see who it could be who was roaming around. There were no signs, and I must admit I put little effort into looking, though. I asked my co-counselor if he had been roaming or if he knew who had. Ted said he was at the lodge at the time, that everybody was in bed, and that it wasn't him. Upon hearing this, I then thought of the possibility of Sasquatch. All right, so there's an interesting one. That's 1998. If I go back just basically southeast of me and directly south of that first one I read, the self-reported one about the incident, this one is a Class A, reported in 2005. Supposedly this happened in the fall of 1977. I-20 west from Erie, Pennsylvania to West Springfield, PA. Observed. My experience with Bigfoot occurred when I was about 10 years old during the fall of 1977. I was exploring the wooded area between Route 5 and Route 20 in northwestern PA, west of Creighton Road. One cool, wet evening just before dusk, I walked into the woods via the main trail from our house. At the fork in the trail, running north and east, was a small sand pit which I crouched into because I saw something or someone in the distance. I peered over the rough, looking slightly northeastward. I watched this thing for nearly 5 minutes. It was over 7 feet tall and weighed 500 to 700 pounds from as far as I could tell. It was black from head to toe. Even its face was black. It was tearing off tree limbs and pushing over rotted trees. It amazed me because there were really no rotted trees left to push or rotted tree branches to break. Its strength was incredible. I could hear the sound of trees crackling and smashing to the ground. I grew extremely scared by Bigfoot's size and strength and what it could do if it saw me. The hair on my body stood straight up without looking back, and I turned and ran as fast as I could. I ran approximately 50 yards back along the trail and another 100 yards through the field to my parents' house. I never returned to explore the woods for another 6 months. There's a follow-up investigation by the BFRO investigator who took this report. I contacted the witness by phone. Further information can be added. The area is seasonally swampy. There are cornfields, wild apple trees, and a few pear trees nearby, providing a food source. The animal moved in a hunched manner from tree to tree while pushing them down. The witness also stated that while the creature was large, it had a lanky, muscular build with broad shoulders. He described its hair color as being light blackish. The witness also stated it had no neck. He watched the creature for over 5 minutes until fear overtook him. So yeah, this was reported in 2005 again. So there's 3 really interesting reports. Obviously the 2021 is the most recent. These other ones are older. Maybe this area was less built up. I mean, this state game lands is thousands of acres. The Ohio side gets a little more built up. And then you've got Erie, Pennsylvania. But I guess heading south from here into other parts of Ohio and Pennsylvania, it's very rural and there's a lot of farms. And I mean, just, again, I'll show this on the screen as I scroll through here. The amount of reports in this area, pretty ridiculous. Most of them seem to be coming from the BFRO. So I had no idea. This was just a stop on my way other points in Ohio. I wanted to see the lake, so I'm going to explore around here a little bit and see what I can find. Obviously, I don't think I'm gonna have some kind of experience just driving through here for a couple hours, but it's worth the effort. I'm here, might as well just explore and get a glimpse of the lake and see what else is out here at this this border area. So this is the marker. This road actually is basically the border between Pennsylvania and Ohio. This is Pennsylvania I'm standing in. As you can see, Pennsylvania on this side. And now I'm in Ohio. This whole area is a state game lands and I guess a preserve on this side. You can see sign says hunting with permission only. And if I go down this way, it'll take me right to Lake Erie. So as I jumped here, what do I notice? A black bear footprint. Right here. So this black bear went from here in Pennsylvania and he crossed into Ohio. Right, I'll put it on this side. There's a reference with my foot. You can see that's a really nice black bear print. So I happened to notice his track just because I was jumping over this little patch of grass and I happened to step right here and that's where I saw the black bear print. So he was coming from this part of the woods in Pennsylvania, heading there into Ohio. Again, we're on the border. This is just funny because this just shows that there is wildlife in this area as big as a black bear. Certainly deer. Kind of the last place I would have expected it. So I mean, is that possible? I mean, there could be Sasquatch around here as well. I don't know. Obviously, there are reports, as we've discussed, but it just kind of surprised me. So here you go. Here's a nice little, pretty good-looking black bear print heading right in there. Who knows? Could have been recently. Drive any further here and you'll be in the lake. Look at this little spot. This is a great little area. Just made it down that. Huh. Like being by the ocean, but weird knowing it's a lake. You know, living near the coast, within a couple hours I'm used to being able to go out there. Here on the coast, but also kind of in the middle of nowhere. Trash and stuff on the beach here. It looks like raccoon prints on the beach. Let's go see what's over here. Like a driftwood creek over here. Well, what's crazy is once you head up here from the beach, pretty much getting back up into the woods. Lake behind me. We're pretty much in the woods. Leads right down to the water. After what turned into a fun Sasquatch side quest by Lake Erie, I hit the road to drive a few hours south to Minerva for the task at hand. Okay, well, I'm out here in Minerva, Ohio, back in the infamous Minerva, home of the Minerva Monster story from the 70s and all the history that's happened here. Obviously, previously now we were up by Lake Erie in northwestern Pennsylvania, right near the border of Ashtabula County, Ohio. Now I've come down here. For folks that don't know, this place I'm at now is a case we've investigated previously. It's actually STM crew member Heather. She happened to move out here, family property, and they've had a lot of stuff happen since they moved out here, which was about 4 or so years ago. And we came out and did an initial Beyond the Trail back in late 2021, like right in the end of the summer, and we came out here and heard some stuff. So this is kind of a revisiting of that case, if you will. But they filmed the Bigfoot Project out here, primarily Seth. So what we're gonna do is actually, I've talked to Seth and I really wanna go to the location of where he had a sighting, which is a couple hills over from these woods here. He was on a gator. They were driving, little kind of like gator side-by-side kind of thing, and they're driving and he saw something crossing in between a cut in the trees, and he actually jumped out of the vehicle. So we'll go do an investigation of that. I'm also going to talk to Heather, and she's had some recent stuff happen this past spring. She'd been sending me some audio, and this is just not unusual for this area because there's a long history of weird stuff here. Again, the Minerva Monster case is well known. That was involving a local family who had a long series of interactions with an alleged Sasquatch type creature. So I'm excited to be back here. It's been 3-something years since I've been here, so I'm gonna spend a little bit of time exploring. We're gonna, again, do the thing with Seth, recreation, talk to Heather about some of the activity. Then I'm kind of just gonna hang out and spend the night out here. As you know, this area is just known for it, and whether or not something's going on, I don't know. Every time I'm out here, I have a different opinion when I look in these woods and these hills, and I'm thinking, man, I don't know. Could something really be out here? I get skeptical. I just don't know what to believe at times. But then you hear the stories and the longevity, the history, and we're not far from Columbiana County. Carrollton's up the road. Golf course incidents that have happened over the years. One of the witnesses that we actually did a recreation practically, a few miles from here, they saw this creature run through soybean fields, and I actually stood in for the creature and ran off into the woods. And it's all interconnected forests, and I've seen coyotes out here. I've been surrounded in a tree stand by coyotes out here. There's so many deer, there's so much wildlife. It's absolutely insane how much wildlife there is out here. There's caves. We visited a cave a few years ago here with Seth that you can actually kind of crawl into and go to. So it's a fun area. I like coming out here. It's just been a while since my last trip here. Hopefully we'll come out more regularly, especially if there's more interesting stuff happening. But yeah, the area is no stranger to weird history, and apparently Sasquatch is quite well known around here. It's not really an unusual thing for people to report around here. So yeah, back here in Minerva, and we'll see how it kind of goes.
All right, here we go. Just make a break for it. Straight up.
Sure.
All right.
Straight up.
Blesses everyone.
So it was like, this is the gas line. So Seth would have been over there. You guys would have been on that.
Up where it's mowed, all the way up there.
Okay, yeah. So where it's mowed, you guys were there driving in the side by side, and then Seth, you saw it right basically where we are right now. No.
Where I saw it, I don't know if I could. Also, these rocks are new, right? These weren't in here. This was dirt.
This was a dirt path, but now it's got some rocks for better traction.
I think maybe here is where I would have put eyes on it, because we're crossing there, and then I'm here, and it looked to me like it was running into the woods, but it was also like just
instant,
like immediate.
Like, how many seconds would you estimate
Less
you
than
saw
a second.
So it was like
it was like
split second.
Yeah, you look up here, you're seeing it, and when you are seeing it, it's already going into the tree line.
So it's just kind of like a blur.
And the weeds were extremely tall.
That's the big thing.
So it's not like we didn't know this path was here at all.
So this was like
It was thorns.
It was, so this has been all mowed since, yeah. Okay.
It was also, the other thing is they've expanded the width, right?
Yeah, this is twice the size it was when you were here. here.
So maybe where that tree is right here would be the original line, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's about right.
This is about the same time of year, right? Because you guys this happened in September.
It was fall.
It was fall.
It was mid or early mid. When did we start filming?
This
very
happened in
beginning.
2021, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we came out here and did the Beyond the Trail.
That was like 6 months after.
August, or that was September of 2021.
Oh, the big, yes. That
And
was,
then you
that
guys
was
started
before
filming
we
right
did
after.
this, yeah.
And this sighting happened that same season or after?
That same season.
Same season,
It was
okay.
within-
You guys did Bigfoot Project, and then this is 2021. So we're talking, it's been 4 years roughly since this happened. So, and it's been, we came out here. I think the last time I came out here was in 2022 at some point.
Yeah.
You and I came out in the
It was
winter.
February. I think.
Yeah,
Wasn't it?
it was in winter.
I think it was February. It was right before we were doing Alaska. We were all talking about
That's right.
Alaska.
That's right. Yeah.
But we came out and nothing happened, right?
Well, it was super snowy. I thought we saw like that orb or a light or something.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing toward when the winter set in. We started seeing those lights,
Right.
which I don't think are connected to the Bigfoot. Just for the
Right.
record.
Well, remember, because you thought when we were up there, you thought somebody was like messing with your Jeep because you had parked it up on that hill.
Yeah. Which is
so
the cabin is like
cabin's that way.
it's over this hill, and then there's a a patch of woods with the abandoned cabin, and then there's
Right.
a field, another field, and then at the bottom of that other hill is the cabin.
Makes sense.
So we're a good distance from there, and then the boneyard where we found all those. You and I found all those.
That's up this way.
All the cow skulls and everything. Is up
Well, he's getting ready. He's he's like 90% squashed right now. So cool.
90%.
I mean, would you say color-wise, like?
The color is close. It was a very dark brown because when I first saw it, I thought it was like jet black.
Okay. Yeah.
But it was like a very dark brown.
Well, so I think this will be cool because you've never done a recreation here, and I think it'll be cool to get him in the spot where it happened and just see if he can even match the speed.
He's not going to match the speed.
So
even just with the rocks, he's not going to come close.
Well, he could walk on the little patch of the grass.
What's
on the
weird is
side.
I do think he's like about the same size.
Okay,
Because
'cause-
the one I saw, I mean, given we're like all the way there, so this
Right.
is not scientific, but my perception was that it was shorter. Like it was not I
Not
didn't
like a
think I was looking at like a
7 foot tall,
7 foot
right.
tall or anything, 8 foot
Because
tall.
you're what, like 6?
5'11".
I thought you were going
5'11"?
to say 6'5".
6'5".
I was like 6'5". Whoa.
6'7".
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. So, all right. Well, cool. I guess we'll get him over here, and then you and I are gonna go over there, Seth, and we will direct Heather and Courtney to release the Squatch. Right.
Yeah.
So
Unleash the Squatch.
nice. I'm excited to see what this will look like. Okay, so we are now roughly where you would have seen this thing. So just walk me through, before we have him do anything, walk me through the scenario.
So
I mean, we can play the clip, but I want to just, tell me.
We were out hanging game cams, trail cams, and we had picked a couple spots. This spot, because Corey, one of the property owners, had said that down in that gully at the bottom there's like a runoff, and there's no running water. Like there's no creeks or anything on the property. There's some runoffs. So if there's rain or something, like winter, snowmelt, things like that, it'll pool down there a little bit. So he thought maybe down there, because apparently this area is like where all the deer go. So we were out hanging trail cams. We had already hung one down in this woods, but it was facing kind of down that way. We got in the gator and came up here. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, I don't think there was a cloud in the sky. We were crossing through here, and I was faced that direction with a camera almost identical to that. I mean, it would have been one of those models.
The handy cams.
AX33.
Yep.
And I was facing that direction. And when we crossed, like, right through here, like literally where he's standing right now, I mean, that's how that looks like right where I would have seen this thing. it was just bolting into the woods. And like I said, like we come through here and I'm seeing it going like this.
See the arm movement.
I could see the arm movement.
Can you like demonstrate what you think it might have looked like?
Well, what's interesting is I'm standing here. There's no way I would have seen muscle movement. But in my head, I saw muscle. I've talked about seeing muscle movement.
So he's standing right there in the suit. I don't know. You can, yeah, we can see that. Muscle movement or like arm movement?
Ripple is what I thought I was seeing. And I don't think I could see that.
And then, so what happens? You see this thing off the back of the gator.
Okay, so it was a pause. You would see it in the video.
Yeah.
We're here when I first see it. And then, well, you know what? Hold on. So, give me a minute. This has been
No, that's
4
fine.
years.
We could replay the clip too.
We're coming through here. And actually, I think we're a little further down when I turn. And I turn and I see it go in to the woods. And then it took me probably another 20 feet to get the word stop out. And as I said stop, because we're in the gator, I had already started jumping out of the gator. What I'm wondering is if we're at the level, because when I hit the ground, it was further down, like through here.
Yep.
And I hit the ground. And then I was like on that incline, and this was all like 5-6 foot high brush. And what's weird is like you're looking at that right now, and like you have to picture this whole hill is 6 foot high brush.
So what about like that? See on the left up there, that brush? Is it anything similar to that, or even higher than that?
Higher than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about there.
So when we get. So what was weird about it is what I was seeing. You see how he's standing there? Imagine that hill has 6 foot tall brush on it, and I'm looking at that. So to me, it looked like I was seeing somebody running across the top of the brush, and my brain was like, what am I looking at? Like I couldn't. I hate to do this with sunglasses on, because I feel like it seems like I'm faking it or something. But like,
I can hold my hat over your head.
It was really weird, because what I first see is him running, not him, but the thing running on what looks
above
like
the grass.
Above the brush. And I was like, what the heck am I seeing?
Right.
And so then I couldn't figure it out. I scream stop. I jump out and run, and I'm still filming. I mean, it's all on video, but like I'm still filming as I run down there. And then when I hit the brush line, I started filming up that way again, and I did hear movement up in that area. Okay. And then by then, Corey and Courtney had turned around and come back and caught up to me, and I was like freaking out.
Right.
But so what happens then is like 2 weeks later, we're out here with a reporter friend of mine from the Canton Repository, and they had brush hogged this, and we come down here and we're like, why does it look like there's a path up there? So right now that path is white and it's easily visible because of the stones, the rocks. It was dirt, but you could still see it was leveled right there.
Right.
And I was like, is there seriously a path there? Because all of a sudden it made sense why I saw this thing running on top of the brush. So we ended up walking up there, and that was when I kind of like put 2 and 2 together.
And saw the path. So Seth, it's been 4 years since this happened, roughly. Yeah. I mean, obviously in that time you've had a lot of time to think about it. I mean, do you have any doubts or any kind of questions about it, or what?
Yeah, and the thing that drives me crazy about it is it was so fleeting, and these people talk about having like face-to-face encounters. The thing that there were a lot of comments about, it was a guy in a suit. I said jokingly to you that I hope the farmer on the other side of that hill doesn't come over here, because you'll get shot running around on a farm property.
And we literally have a guy in a suit there now, so that's what we're talking about. So
it's true. So we like that's out. Like I don't think that's gonna happen. The thing that I have in my head right now, the skeptical version of me, is that maybe I saw a burr on some of that brush, and we were driving by and it like perfectly aligned. so as we're driving by, I see this burr.
Right.
And the night before, we had rocks thrown at us. Heather and I had wood knocks all around us. Corey had what he thought were bipedal footsteps approaching the kids inside the cabin. So Bigfoot was definitely on the brain that weekend. So my thought is maybe I created a Bigfoot running in my head when I saw this burr. Because that is a thing. Like sometimes you'll be driving.
You see some of them here. Like I don't know if I can zoom in on them, but there's a lot of them just kind of floating around in the wind here.
Yeah, and what I said is the color's like a very dark brown, borderline, like to my eyes, almost black.
Right.
But what's interesting is you can see the way the sun's hitting him. The sun would have been more up, but
yeah,
I still think
still
think that would have been a little shady. And I'm wondering if I actually saw it cross the plane of like the shadow, which is why I said black initially and then said brown.
But here, that's the thing that kind of is weird to me, I guess, is the fact that there's a path there that was there then and you guys didn't know about it. Yeah. And that thing was whatever it was. Yeah. I mean, it was at a perfect...
Out here, that is the path of least resistance, which if you're going to run in the middle of broad daylight for whatever reason, that's where you would be doing it.
The perfect spot. Because I mean, yeah, it's, I don't know, it's weird, but I don't know, should we have him try something out?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, just have him put the head on and run.
Okay, put the head on, and then where's the rock at, Heather? Okay, is he good starting where he's at?
Yeah, does it matter how fast he runs? It kind of just...
No, just I just want to gauge, like, you reacting, because you've not seen anything try to emulate this. You gauge, you know, just how much faster or bigger or whatever this thing might have been compared to him.
Maybe like here. All
right, are we good where we're at?
I will say, though, just literally, and I already said this, but seeing him there, that is what I saw. Like,
right.
Like what we are looking, like, obviously not a guy in a baggy suit, but like where he is at right now, that is what like, that would be the same. The only thing that's throwing me is the muscle thing, but maybe that.
Maybe when he moves, tell him to exaggerate his arms a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, tell him gentle jog.
He can do a gentle jog, but when he's running, tell him to really like pump his arms.
Okay, Graydon, when you run, just a gentle jog over to Heather, but really move your arms, kind of exaggerate it.
Wow. All right. He's good.
All right, is Alex ready?
Oh yeah, I'm filming him right now. Yep.
He's good. Yeah, just have him go.
All right, and go.
So yeah, so that was a couple seconds it took him to clear that. What do you think?
I just wonder, he's in shadow. If he's hit by direct sunlight.
Do you want him in the sun? There's sun.
Yeah, move him
here.
Move to the.
Move your arms.
If he goes to the.
Move.
His right.
His right. Yeah.
His
there,
right.
There.
Right there. Yep. Now move your arms like you're.
I mean, there's definitely more definition.
But so even like me just looking at that, I can see, you know, there's definitely some sort of an upright figure there.
I mean, what I'm saying is where he's at, maybe he would be more obviously toward the wood line. Yep. But where we're at, looking up there, that is very much what I saw in terms of, like, there's no...
That's the same area?
A running figure in full... Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'd say maybe 10 feet more toward the wood line when I first put eyes on it.
Right.
And then it's just... The crazy thing in my head, though, is when I'm thinking about that thing bolted. I mean, it was just...
Like how compared to his run, what did you think?
3 times as fast. I mean, it was like in a flash. Because I said when I saw it, it was less than a second.
Do we want to have him do one more test?
Yeah.
All right, and go.
Yeah. Yeah, twice as fast.
Yeah, I mean, his arms seemed so, like, exaggerated.
Yeah,
you could just tell it was a human dashing.
What I said what I saw looked like, you know, when like a sprinter, like an Olympic sprinter, like the pumping, but it's not.
Yeah, right.
It's not like that. It's you know, like
it's more controlled.
Yeah. That's why when I first saw it, I didn't know how to I couldn't react. I like tried to say something and my mouth just hung open.
Right.
And then I was just like, stop, but I was already jumping. Because I knew I couldn't say anything and I already knew that it was gone. So I was trying to stop everything in the moment, which was difficult.
I mean, just give me your thoughts now that we've done the experiment.
We should probably say they literally got chased out of that area. I mean, like,
they just got, that's why we have Bigfoot incapacitated over here.
I'm good.
So like, and that, I think that adds to your point about, running around here in a suit.
Yeah.
It's not smart.
No.
Like if you're just doing it to prank people.
Yeah.
Like if he was just running out here on his own accord.
Yeah.
That's probably a great way to get shot.
Yeah. No, 100%. Everyone out here is armed.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
the
amount of coyotes out here and all this other stuff.
Well, it's all connected farmland. Like this area,
Graydon, can you go ahead and
you're driving through people's property to get here, so there's no way.
Right.
There's no way you're getting here without trespassing multiple times on farms that are well armed.
Right. So I guess, your thoughts on, you've never done this before. We haven't done a recreation. This is the first time you're
I don't even know if I
it.
put anyone in that spot and kind of like tried to
gauge size.
Yeah. I would say what I saw was bigger though. It's frustrating because it was 4 years ago and you're trying to like be real rational.
Right. You're probably running it through your head so many times. Right?
I think I think the thing I saw was taller. Like whatever I saw, I think was taller. And then, but like the size in terms of like where he's at, that might put to bed the burr parallax thing. Because you would think if it was a burr or something, like a fern or something in the foreground, and I'm just like, your eyes do weird things when you're moving and you're like, I would think if it was that, I wouldn't see him in the same general spot on the hill where I had seen the parallax effect or whatever, and have it be that close to what I saw. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I think there's some positives going for it. I mean, like position, the path being there. You didn't know about the path when it happened.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's just one of those things that I don't know if we're ever going to really get a conclusion.
No, we're not.
But hopefully for you, it was interesting to.
It was.
Gauge.
I would love to get out here with the gator and run through it with him in the same spot and everything one more time.
Right,
but you're never going to get a perfect. The frustrating thing now is you're never going to get a perfect recreation.
You're not going to get the same spot.
That whole pipeline's way long, way wider, and
the terrain has changed. Well, cool. I mean, I'm glad we at least got to try something out.
Yeah,
and
that was cool.
I'm gonna probably poke around this area tonight and see if there's anything kicking around. It's been a number of years since I've been out here too. So
Heather's had stuff happen this year.
Yeah.
She can tell you more, but like, it's been months, right?
It was in the spring, yeah.
It was in the spring, but there were things.
So there's like a seasonal nature to it. After the recreation, while we had the Bigfoot suit on hand, we filmed some B-roll shots for upcoming productions that would be needed. So here's a little behind the scenes footage. I then reconvened with Heather, who'd fill me in on some of the previous unusual activity earlier in the year.
Yeah, so things got pretty quiet at the end of Bigfoot Project. Of course, there was some pipelines that had gone through, clear cutting and stuff, so things got really quiet. But then, within the last year, odd things started happening on and off. We had a situation where Seth came down for, it was a recreation or something, after he left. One of those crystals that I keep in spots was moved and set right in the middle of a path where he had walked. We had Les Odell down he had seen some stuff, heard some things, and that was all fall, winter, early spring. But things really kicked off around the full moon lunar eclipse that happened. I think it was March 13th, 14th-ish, somewhere in there. Totally not planning this. Came outside, it wasn't even on my mind, but we set an alarm to get up at like 3 so we could see totality. And we came outside, and there was this howl that went on. It would last almost 10 seconds, and then stop and be quiet for a few minutes, and then it would go off again.
I remember you telling me about that, yeah.
Yeah, it went on for several minutes. It was enough that it was unnerving. It sounded like it was on the other side of the valley. It sounded a decent bit away. But while that was happening, there's a bunch of bamboo behind the house, and we always have birds roosting there overnight.
Right.
And they sleep. Like nothing bothers them really unless something actually walks through. But as we're listening to the howls, all of a sudden the birds go crazy and go flying out of the bamboo. Then we hear something walking up to the side of the house right here on the corner. And I was like, okay, this is a little too close. I'm not really liking this. And we went back in the house. But the next day, or a day or so later, went back up to the barn area, which isn't that far away, because my daughter wanted her batting equipment out of the barn where we keep it. And there were pine branches broken in the path to get to the barn, which we had not put there. They hadn't been there previously. So I thought, well, I mean, I talked to you about,
Right.
all I had when the howls were happening during the eclipse was my phone.
Right.
So I was like, what kind of recorder should I get? I don't even know what to do. So I had ordered a recorder, and after all of this had started, I ended up putting it up in that barn, setting it on the four-wheeler that we have in there. And I recorded some really weird stuff over the next several days. And it was odd, the timing of it. I would put stuff up early in the evening, so it wasn't even dark yet, and then I'd come get it the next day. And one of the first times I put the recorder up there, you can hear me obviously put it down and walk away. And then within 15 minutes, you hear something else walk back in. You hear it shaking stuff, like touching on things. You hear tapping on the four-wheeler, like it sounds like the plastic of the four-wheeler. And you hear some sniffing and like huffing. And that was unnerving to hear back, because about 30 minutes after all of that stopped, you can hear it leave.
Right.
You can hear my kids outside playing. And I was like, okay, this is really close to the house. Not a fan.
Right.
At one point, this is all within a 2-week time period, my kids are in the living room, and they come flying to the backside of the house where Corey and I were, and they're freaking out because something came up and knocked on the window, this window here.
Whoa.
And they were in that room, and the curtains only open a tiny little bit.
Yeah.
But they were in there playing on the Nintendo, and they come in and they said it sounded like something just on the window.
Weird. Huh.
So we went outside, didn't see anything. But yeah, I kept putting things out here, and I would record some things. It was interesting. I did notice there would be at one point there was a knock that sounded really quiet almost in the barn. And then a few seconds later, there was a loud knock farther away.
Interesting.
So I don't know what that means. I also have on recording, I was on an audio, because a lot of times when I message people, it's easier to just do a voice message.
Right.
So I was on Facebook Messenger with a friend telling them about some of this weird stuff, and this loud knock goes off in the background. And I was like, you heard that, right? Okay, you heard that, right? You heard that pop? And they did. I mean, I sent that off to some people to listen to as well. But I mean, you would hear the knocks close to the house.
So strange. And that's kind of like not unusual for, I guess, the whole, I mean, if you go back to like the Minerva case, right? Like the original, the Catons and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of weird kind of stuff like that associated with it, I think.
Yeah. And it was so close to the house. When we did the Bigfoot Project, everything happened around the cabin. Nothing was like this close to the house. And the cabin is not close.
No,
so
it's good hiking in there. Yeah.
Yeah, so I wasn't as worried, but this whole thing unnerved me a little bit, because I'm like, this is a little close to the house, and I have children. So that kind of unnerved me, but I kept
makes you wonder, what's going on. But anyway,
sorry, no, you're fine. I was just going to say I kept the recorder out for a little while, but then what ended up happening here is that we got rain for a month straight, which ruins any recording that you have anyway. So I stopped putting it out, and then it was summer and it got ridiculously hot. So I hadn't been out really much until the last few weeks, actually, when it started to get cooler, and I haven't been out enough to know if anything's still going on or not. But
have you heard anything locally? Anybody talking about anything unusual?
I haven't been asking around, actually. So I have no idea if stuff's been going on or not. But I mean, things are not that far away, because like Moneymaker posted a thing, not that, like within the last few weeks, of something around East Liverpool area, which isn't too far away. But
the Carrollton's not far away either.
Oh yeah, Carrollton's just down the road.
That's right. They had the golf course with all that stuff. And
yeah.
I remember. Yeah, just, I mean, so many witnesses and stories around this area, and Columbiana County, right? That's not far either.
Yeah, actually, Minerva, which is just a couple miles that way, Minerva sits in the intersection of 3 counties. It's like Carroll County, Stark County, and Columbiana County it just all connects. So
interesting, because every time I'm out here, I'm like trying to wrap my mind around, like, why would something like this be hanging out in a place like this? I mean, then you see all the wildlife, you see all the, I guess, the resources, but it's all these like patchy woods, and then, I guess if you could hike it far enough, you could get to Pennsylvania or West Virginia or southern Ohio, where there's larger swaths, but it's just tough to wrap my mind around sometimes. But like, the stories are pretty consistent. It's not like you're the first person in Minerva to experience this kind of stuff. Like, far from it. If anything, it's kind of old news at this point in terms of like, this is the kind of stuff that's been going on here. With the Catons, all that stuff. So it's interesting to hear. I mean, hopefully something else happens, and hopefully somebody gets some kind of video or something at some point, even though not like it's going to matter, because everything with AI now,
yeah.
It'd be interesting to get some kind of corroboration. So
I'll be paying more attention now that it's actually tolerable to be outside.
Right. Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Here's my setup. Back of my vehicle, I got my bed set up and everything in here. I can just sleep right here. Mobile. So if I hadn't had the thermal, I wouldn't have seen it. There's a deer. See if I can get its eye shine going. Oh yeah, there it is. There's literally a deer sitting. See it up there? See the eye shine? There it is. Bet you I can walk right up on it. Still just sitting there staring right at me. I'm very close to that thing. There it goes. Coyotes are going off down across the pond. The deer are still just hanging out. Gonna sit here and enjoy the fire a little bit. Beautiful night, moon's starting to come up a little bit. Haven't heard any other coyotes going off. Obviously there was that deer right behind me up in the woods. Do I think anything's around? Probably not. Anything unusual, that is. Don't know if there's like a seasonal nature to it here in Ohio or how it works, but it seems like there's some kind of pattern these things follow or travel in. I don't know if that's the right word. But when the moon starts coming up now, I'm definitely gonna get ready to go for a little stroll around, walk some of the fields, see if I can't spot any more wildlife. Obviously, hopefully something more unusual, but I'm being realistic here. As an area that's had a lot of interesting stuff happen, it just obviously makes me think a lot about Ohio. Why is Ohio so interesting? I mean, where we were earlier was technically in Pennsylvania, I mean right on the Ohio border, but most of the reason people go out to that area is hunting. Out here, this cabin is primarily for hunting. I mean, the activity started happening to us and Seth back 3-4 years ago was not really like the main reason people came out here in the first place. Hunting, just to get out, enjoy the woods around their property, that sort of thing. All too common of a story apparently here in eastern Ohio, and I guess northeastern Ohio. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but that deer really seems to like that spot there up on the hill behind me. Just does not seem to be scared. I don't know if it's maybe desensitized to people's presence out here. I don't really know, but it really doesn't seem to care. I mean, I basically chased it out of the spot it's in and went right back to that same spot. So I guess that tells you something about the animals in this area. They just, people are not much of a concern, I guess. Even though there's a hunting cabin, and you know, I can't imagine their behavior like this. I mean, technically it's bow season right now, so must be an easy place to get deer, I guess. But I'm gonna wrap it up here at the fire and go for a little stroll around, see what I can find here at night, and just see how it looks. Wow. It is crazy bright out here. There's the moon. I've been hiking around for a little while. I think the moonlight obviously helps me be able to see where I'm at, but I'm still kind of disoriented. I don't exactly know where the area where Seth's encounter was. I think it's further over, but I think the openness with the fields and the moonlight is definitely helping ease the nerves of being out here alone. Yeah, I'm not seeing much. A couple of deer took off bolting right behind me in the tree line. That definitely was a good jolt to the system. They must have just been sitting there as I was walking up, and they just took right off. Definitely, definitely got the blood going for a second as I whipped around with the thermal. I barely caught them running off. This is the kind of night where the moon is so bright. You can see it in the shot right there. I doubt anything large that is willing to take risks would be moving around on a night like tonight. So don't know how much more I can what more I can do out here other than just get back to camp and kind of take it easy for the rest of the night. Yikes. Oh my god, that could have been really bad. I just ran into a skunk just laying right in front of me. See him right there. Jeez. Oh, that was terrifying. That could have been really bad. He was just laying right there. Oh my god. Jeez. That's the last thing I needed. I really hope that's the only one out here. Just made it back to the vehicle in the cabin. That deer is still just in the wood line there. What a beautiful morning out here. A little chilly, sun's starting to come out now. Some fog in these areas over here, absolutely stunning. Quiet, I mean, I slept good. I don't think anything happened. Our dear friend, I don't know when it left, but I just want to show you guys where this deer was. I mean, it was literally hanging out right where these kind of trees are right in there all night. Not seeming to care at all that I was there. So I've never had that happen where a deer is just that comfortable with being around a person, especially me being loud. And yeah, it was kind of surprising. But yeah, so that's my night in Minerva here, the little Ohio experience. You know, I don't think there's anything going on right now at this time point in the fall. Heather was saying there was stuff going on in the spring, but yeah, the activity here is weird. I don't know how to really explain it other than there's a seasonal factor to it maybe, but it's always perplexed me why this area is known for this kind of stuff. And I guess the abundance of food and resources and whatnot, but it just seems like of all the places to be going, why would these things consistently want to hang out in a place like this? I could see it happening again seasonally, but not all the time. I don't think so. So yeah, that's it's a wrap in a few years since the visit here to Minerva. So with that, I'm going to close out this little Ohio adventure here.